Hey, everybody, another fascinating discussion today with a company that's making AI and automation real for global telecom operators at Tupl. Kishore, how are you?
I'm great, Evan. How are you? Great to see you.
Great to see you. You're in rainy, wet Seattle, but I think that's par for the course.
Beautiful is part of that.
But before we dive into all things Tupl and the amazing results you're driving, maybe introduce yourself and your role. And how would you describe Tupl these days?
Well, let me start off with a brief introduction of myself. I've been with Tupl for just about a year, coming up, I think, literally next week. But I've been in the industry, especially in the wireless industry here for about 25 years or so, aging myself. Actually, just about a little bit more than that. Predominantly spent my time working with AT&T Wireless, a lot of times mostly as an outside consultant and doing a lot of work for their network design, network optimization. One of the things that we did back in 2010 or so was to part of my old colleagues, we kind of started off a company which started doing automation. At that time, we didn't know it was actually AI. We used to call it automatic intelligence correlator. That was our go-to slogan for what is today AI. But of course, it's nowhere near today's level of it's I guess AI on steroids at this point of time. But that's something that we were doing quite a bit, and we're very successful in the 3G era to do network automation. We're basically taking a lot of data streams, comparing information, looking at anomalies, looking at changes, and recommending a course of action to be taken, right? So long story short, about a year and a half or so ago, I was talking to a friend of mine who works at AT&T, and he happened to be also a friend of Petri, who you spoke to, I think, a couple of weeks ago in Boston. And of course, I'm based in Seattle. I've been here for 20 plus years. And it just happened that we were talking about it, and he started explaining to me about what Tupl was doing. And I thought, hey, to me, it's almost like deja vu. It's like, wow, we had thought about all these things in the past, and we kind of just completely gelled together, and it was a great experience just talking to him about 2 hours about what Tupl does, and here I am. I ended up saying, okay, I'm going to work with you guys, and this is exciting that I'm back in the automation journey for network operations, network planning, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and it's been a long journey, and there are lots of different approaches to automation, but it seems like at Tupl, you're taking this to an entirely new level, delivering kind of results that have been, not achieved with traditional automation approaches. Maybe give an example of how Tupl is helping a global operator deliver real, tangible results today.
Yeah, I think I can take two examples very easily, which is, again, going back a few years, Tupl has been doing AI, the traditional AI machine learning model for network automation, for automation of tasks and stuff like that for the last few years. But the AI industry and AI itself seems to have caught up and become more relevant, right? But just over the last few years, we have helped tier one carriers here in the US, at least definitely one tier one, which became the number one by doing a lot of automation in their network, connecting customer issues to network issues, and being able to quickly resolve customer issues so that the level of customer satisfaction is super high, right? And I don't have to name it, but it's based here in Seattle, and they are the number one. And then there's a lot of proof that what we have done literally saved them a lot of dollars, and also gained a lot in terms of customer satisfaction, and the customer experience is just sky high, right? So that's one. Number two, second example, global carriers is just this year, we have deployed our power savings advisor in over 10 countries in Europe, right?
Wow.
So power is a major expense for most carriers, especially in Europe, because they have somewhat older radios at this point. They haven't yet caught up to 5G as much as the US has. So they're using partially, somewhat older equipment, and there's 3G, 4G, 5G, and a lot of it, irrespective of what technology it is or what vendor it is. Tupl's power saving advisor helps a lot in configuring the network so that there is least power consumption without affecting customer experience or dropping of KPIs and stuff like that. Typically, a lot of times, well, hey, how do you save power? Turn off parts of the network when nobody is using it. Great, but is it impacting customer, KPIs? How is that experience, right? So, and it's to be done at scale throughout the country. The national level network is huge. So it's been proven, and that's why we are deploying it in more than 10 countries in Europe. And it's also being tried out here in the US in some of our largest cities, including New York.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, there are a lot of different approaches to applying AI and automation in telecom, different technologies, different models. But yet you really stand out. What makes Tupl's unique approach stand out from other kind of alternatives, let's say?
Well, we've started from scratch. I think that's as I mentioned, we started off with an AI/ML model, which was predominantly to take away all the expertise in coding and focus more on what engineers were doing in a telecommunications network, right? So we kind of packaged it in such a way that a specialist engineer who is designing the network, who would attend to network issues, would easily be able to understand what his workflow is and automate that workflow. So we didn't focus so much on using just cool technology, but we were focused more on exactly how that process is done manually. And if it is repeatable, then it becomes also boring up to a certain extent. And also, it doesn't have to be done the same way manually every single time, right? So that's what our focus was. It is what we call explainable AI. Engineers can look at it, look at the process of what's being done, and understand what's being done, so that they can say, okay, next time the same issue happens, I can automate it, right? And Tupl's OS generates, for example, a script which, if it is a repeated offender, that it can automatically fix it, right? So that's been our approach, that it is explainable. And then, of course, as we went through time over the last year and a half, and especially just over the last few months, things are changing very rapidly in the AI industry, and we've been able to adopt and use those newer things like Agentic AI very quickly. And nobody else in the world, as far as I know, has been able to do it yet, because a lot of them are still trying that out, and ours has already been implemented and being proven day in and day out.
Amazing. Well, yeah, now is not the time for science projects, but practical
Exactly. Yeah.
results. And of course, telecom transformation is never easy. You know, our industry tends to, some would say slow, I'd say careful and deliberate in the way they work. But what are some of the toughest challenges or roadblocks that you're seeing right now?
Well, a lot of times the adoption is, it's companies weren't ready yet, but now I think most companies are ready. From a focus perspective, everybody is getting into making sure, because it's cost efficient and it's resource efficient. So obviously there's an advantage to that. A lot of times the I wouldn't say roadblocks, but what slows things down is typically what it would do to people, right? We've always seen this, and it's a mentality of how is it? Am I going to lose my people because everything is going to get automated? But it's always, the answer is always no. It elevates your people. From doing mundane things, it automates all the stuff that they just spend time on, doing unnecessary stuff, and really makes them, it literally elevates the kind of work that they do, right? And so that's definitely one thing that's kind of slows things down in terms of adoption. The other one is, it's new. AI is new. It's how much information gets out to an AI provider, for example. Governance, security are two major concerns, right? And also cost. Cost is a major concern because a lot of it can get expensive very quickly, even though it is supposed to be more about increasing cost efficiencies. If you're metering and you keep, with agents getting more and more token usage, means more and more cost, more compute, more storage. All of that is something that more telcos are making sure that they do not, without having a predictable model of how expensive this is going to end up being, they are just being more careful. Governance and security and cost. Those are two other things apart from human resources.
Yeah, and those are challenges that need to be overcome when scaling AI. And everyone talks about scale, but it's difficult to get the balance right. But yet you scaled with global tier one operators in the US, Asia, Europe. What was the secret to scaling? And why do you think some organizations get stuck along the way?
I think trust has been probably one of our biggest factors. We have gained our customers' trust in, again, explaining and being transparent about how things are being implemented. And we work very closely with their teams, their own specialists, their own people who know their process the best, right? We have quite a few so-called pre-packaged, out-of-the-box type solutions, but a lot of it is customizable. A lot of it comes down to our customers being able to utilize our platform and creating their own ways of solving issues that are day-to-day issues for them, right? It might be one engineer in one city, let's say in Seattle, that figures out, oh, this is an issue that's happening here constantly, and this is how I fixed it. And pretty quickly, it can be repeatable. And then that can be at scale nationally, because that problem keeps repeating in many different markets, in many different areas, in many different regions. And, then that becomes a process. It's automated. And we help in ensuring that we work very closely with our customers, and we ensure that what they're doing is implemented correctly, and we work with them very closely. So I think the trust has been one of the biggest factors, and transparency.
Fantastic. And, this space is moving so quickly. I know you participate in industry forums like GSMA and the TM forum and contribute to many of the standards there. How do you keep your team aligned when the industry moving so fast? It must be hard to keep up and stay ahead.
We do work very closely with all these, global bodies. TM Forum especially has been very active, and we have been. We are a major part of TM Forum. All our standards, we follow processes that are standardized in TM Forum. We go back and forth on, agreeing to standards, writing standards. We are very actively engaged in some of these things. And we were both in TM Forum in Dallas, for example, a couple of months ago. A few months ago, I think in May of this year, was in Copenhagen. So we participate, and we are very much engaged in these global forums to ensure that there is a standardized process of doing it. And we follow the same processes that a lot of the carriers, our customers, are also following. So we ensure that there is standardized processes there.
Fantastic. So you mentioned Tupl's been doing AI long before it was trendy, when we called it automation. Give us a peek behind the curtain as to the team. I know you have a huge R&D bench and many PhDs even,
Yeah.
and I assume the team is growing and expanding as well.
Yes, yeah. The growing and expansion part, literally, like I said, I've been here for just about a week shy of a year, but it has doubled in that time, right? So while most of the industry in telco kind of was slowing down in the last few years because there's been a lot of capital expenditure and a lot of headwinds as far as different kinds of competition, fiber, cable, all kinds of different things, right? But we've been able to have a sustained growth, and we predict this growth over the next few years because of our history and what we have done in the past, and also a lot of us, as you mentioned, our leadership team is comprised of people who have worked primarily in the telecommunications industry with carriers like T-Mobile, AT&T, working with companies like who produced software, who were acquired by companies like Amdocs and Ericsson. So our DNA is very strong in terms of our understanding of how things work, right from the 2G era, right? I was involved in the conversion of AT&T's network nationwide from IS-95 to GSM. So this was 2003 or 4. And that's what brought me to Seattle when AT&T used to be headquartered here in Seattle. So it's all that DNA and a very focused approach to automating things that are mundane, and whatever can be automated is being automated.
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity. And I've seen a little peek into the work you're doing behind the scenes, a little bit into the next few months even. And you're making some big bets on agentic AI and revolutionizing workflows for field service personnel and so much more.
Yeah.
Can you give us a peek into the months and year ahead?
Yeah, especially agentic AI. Literally, like I said, it's been a few months in development because things are changing so quickly, and we've been able to implement those changes very quickly because we were already doing practical AI and machine learning. Our step up from there to agentic AI has been extremely quick and efficient, right? So we are working with two major carriers here in the U.S. One is, of course, already implemented and deployed, but we are following it up with a second major carrier here in the U.S., and we are discussing very closely with them on how their portfolio of tools can be agentized, and they're the ultimate North Star for that carrier and us is having no tools. You have a lot of data and you can do pretty much whatever you want to do with it by creating these agents. So one of our products, Network Advisor, is going to be a platform on which most of the automation happens. Most of the things that we've talked about is happening on Network Advisor. But what we're doing on top of that is kind of like a co-pilot would be the agent. When you want to do more investigative work, you can go to the agent and you can start asking queries and figuring out in-depth investigative stuff using the agent, right? And once that's done, if you are seeing a repeatable process, that can once again be automated.
Wow.
And then it goes back to an automated process. So there's no continuous use of tokens, and it does not become an expense, because that is a huge thing that carriers and everybody else is looking at, because everything comes at a cost, right? So how can it be localized? Because the information is already there. Once it's generated, you don't have to go through the same process again, because that process is repeatable as a closed loop action. So that's something that we have been doing, and creating smaller agents to do tasks that typically takes an engineer a few hours to do, can be automated and can be done by an agent very quickly.
Amazing. Well, that's quite a revolution happening under the hood, as it were.
Yeah.
As we head into next year, what's the big trend or a big shift that you think everyone's underestimating right now? Any thoughts about 2026?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff going on. We have been focused a lot on network operations and customer support. As you've seen, big players like NVIDIA, Nokia, Ericsson, they're all entering into the fray of making AI and in RAN, that's radio access network, a big thing. We are kind of already getting a head start on that by utilizing all these data sources and using AI for network design, network optimization, where networks are where they have a potential to fail, especially in critical areas. Critical facilities is something that we are looking at because, telecommunications infrastructure is kind of it's a national security issue at a lot of times, right? So we are ensuring that critical facilities, critical infrastructure, we are using AI to make sure that they're functional all the time. And if there are issues, they come back up very quickly. So that's a major area of focus for us.
Wow, staying ahead of the game, to be sure. Well, congratulations on all the success. Much more to come. Appreciate all the insight. I learned a lot, as always.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, and thank you for joining. Thanks, everyone, for listening and watching, and also sharing the episode, checking out our companion TV show, TechImpact.tv on Bloomberg and Fox Business. Thanks, Kishore. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.